Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Change the Shed. It is November 9, 2022, and sunny day in Colorado, which is fairly normal for here. You all are checking in from all over. Thanks for joining me. Woodstock, Canada. Kit's here from, we call it the... I was going to say you're on the Western Slope. I don't think she's on the Western Slope. Anyway, welcome, Kit. Fellow Coloradoan. Sally used to be a Coloradoan, now lives in Washington. Jessica's here she's in Illinois right now. Karen, snow in Winnemucca. Wow. I used to live in Nevada, and so you don't get snow that much in Nevada. It's raining in San Diego. It's kind of fun to hear what it's like all over the country. So thanks, you all. Windy in Chicago, that shouldn't surprise us. Hello, Virginia and Delaware. Isla's here from Oregon, where apparently it is beautiful. Julia's here from Germany. Julia, thank you. I'm glad you got your copy of Untangled. This is my first book. This is a self-published book. It's a fun thing that I did with my little cousin. She is younger than me, but she's not my little cousin anymore. Molly is a children's book illustrator. So she and I did this book of Tapestry tips. So if you want your own copy, here's one of the best pages. They're all funny. If you want your own copy, in my shop, I have many copies left, and they need to leave my garage sometime in the next year. So order your copy now. Welcome from Indianapolis, and Judy's here from Vancouver Island. Beautiful place. Betsy from Kansas City. And Jennifer from California, Pennsylvania, Vermont. Welcome, everybody. North Dakota, Virginia. We've got Paula's here from the UK. Isla's here from, she just got woven color. Isla, I'm glad you mentioned that. So my teacher was James Kohler. He was a master tapestry artist in Santa Fe, and I studied with him as an apprentice for most of 3 years before he passed away. And he wrote an autobiography during that time that I was working with him. It's called Woven Color. And the co-author is Carol Green. And so Carol has been selling that book as a print book through Blurb Publications, but the price was pretty high. So you can now, what I'm coming to is you can get Woven Color for a $10, it's a digital download, but it's $10. So I'm really excited about that because it means so many people will get to read about James's work. And the book was over $100 before. So I highly recommend it. I will put a link to that on the Change the Shed page, just so you can find it easily. It's also been in my newsletter, the last few newsletters, and I'll put it in again this week. Welcome, Christine from Ottawa, and Kate from California, Carolyn from the UK. Renee also got her copy of Untangled. Yay. Glad it came. Mary Lou from Cape Cod, South Carolina. I'm so glad y'all are here. So I'm in Colorado, Fort Collins, and at the moment it is sunny. This is my video room in my studio, and today I'm working on it's kind of a sample. I'll show you in a second. Before I do that, my next Change the Shed is November 30. That is 3 weeks, not 2 weeks. I know that I've been going every 3 weeks today and next time. That has to do with my teaching schedule. This is the first time since COVID started that I am back to teaching in person. I taught at Spinoff Autumn Retreat a couple weeks ago. Went really well. I did not get COVID. I had great students. It was a lot of fun. So, and next week I'm teaching a retreat in Taos, New Mexico. So I will be back on the 30th. And I will see you then. And then on December 14 will be the next one. I think that's 2 weeks after the 30th. of November, I will be celebrating our 100th episode of Change the Shed. I don't know yet what we're going to do, but it should be fun. So mark that one on your calendars. December 14, Change the Shed, 100 episodes. I wanted to just tell you Fiber Monday. If you haven't been following me for long enough to know this, I do teach many online classes, and I mostly only put them up for sale one time a year, and it is on the Monday after Thanksgiving, which is in the US Cyber Monday, but I call it Fiber Monday. So all of my classes will be on sale between 15 and 25% off on that day. So mark your calendars. If you've been wanting to get one of the bigger classes especially, you'll get a really nice discount. You'll want to follow my newsletter to make sure you get the code for the discount. So below this video, if you're on YouTube, there is a whole list of links, and one of them is to my newsletter. Please sign up if you want that code for the Fiber Monday sale, which is on November 28th. The only other thing I have a couple other things. Change the Shed information if you want to get the links of the stuff I talk about, or just go through and see what I've talked about in the past. There's pictures, so you can choose like which one you want to watch. It's on my website at that URL. And also, if you want to leave a donation for Change the Shed, you can do that on that page. Near the top, there's a black box that says something about donations. This program is still free, and I'd like to keep it that way. So it really helps me pay for the cost of technology and my time. If you can afford a small donation, it is, or a large donation, whatever you'd like, it's super helpful. I really appreciate it. If you find it useful, I would appreciate it. And then let's move on to what I am going to do today. Jennifer's asking about the Taos thing. Jennifer, I have 2 Taos retreats now, and the one that I'm doing next week is for alumni, so it's just for people who have been to the Taos retreat before. So probably not very many of you heard about it. I did have some openings, which I advertised briefly in my newsletter. Again, a reason to watch my newsletter. If I have an opening for something, which isn't very often, I'm going to say it in the newsletter first. So this particular retreat, I did have 2 openings, which I filled from the newsletter. And then there's another one in January. That one is also full, but I do have a waiting list, and there's only 1 person on it right now. So if anyone wants to be on the waiting list for the January retreat in Taos, that is also on my website under workshops, I think, is the first thing under workshops says something about the Taos, New Mexico retreat, January. All right, Noreen has gotten my book. I think you mean this book behind me, which is great. It has instructions for building a loom in it. So I'm always a proponent of building a pipe loom, which actually on that chair behind me, I see there's a pipe loom sitting there. That's the sort of pipe loom that I have instructions for in my book. So today I'm going to work on a little weaving that is 4 by 6 inches. And it is actually I'd call it a sample, except it's an actual tapestry. It's for a new thing that I'm doing with Just Yarn, which is the yarn company that makes Array. And some of you know I've been doing a class bundle with them. You can get my intro class with a bundle of Just Yarn. We're going to do another collaboration that will be it's called the Tapestry Discovery Box. And it's a collaboration between myself and Just, and it's going to be quarterly, and you'll get yarn for a project, and I will teach you, and we will have a community place to meet online in one of my courses. And so that is going to be really fun. We're going to do a project every quarter, and I will be teaching new techniques every quarter, and you will get a very cool box of yarn from Just. So I'm quite excited about that. That starts in January, and so watch my newsletter and Just's website or whatever for more information. I'll let you know. Don't worry. I think it starts January 15, but I'm sure there will be a registration before that. So that's what I'm working on today. Let's do that before I talk away all of our time. So the project I am weaving, I actually need to get done quite soon. So that is why I am bringing it today. Let's see if I can. So this project is 4x6. I'll show you it. Here's the cartoon. So the little, the idea of the project is something about windows and doors, or more generally about openings. And I wanted to weave a doorway. I love doorways and following, when I travel, I take a lot of pictures of doors and windows. So this is a little door with a window next to it that has shutters on it. And I just, in my process of designing this thing, this was my first sketch, or maybe my second sketch, where I did some finger skeins to decide on some of the colors and how I was going to mix them. So I've got 7 colors here of just array, and I'm mixing those. Those are the only 7 colors I'm using for this tapestry, and I'm doing some different kind of techniques. So I'm doing an interlock along the outside of the door. No, I'm doing an interlock along the inside of the door, and on the outside, like lintel, I'm doing a little, I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. I'm doing a little toothed thing. It's sort of a dovetail, but I'm just doing it every other sequence so that I get sort of on the edge of the, whatever you call the side of a doorway. I don't know what it's called. A little toothed thing, but this one will be much straighter because it's a weft interlock. All right, let's see. That might work out if I leave that like that. Let's see. That light might bother y'all, but Renee, yes, the GIST collaboration is beginner friendly. I will have various iterations of the techniques I am teaching. It is not for if you have never woven anything before, we will tell you to please take my intro to tapestry class, which is that short class I have. It's, I think it's $39, and there's a sale coming up in 2 weeks. Or 3 weeks, however long that is from now. I guess it's about 3 weeks. But yes, the GIST collaboration is going to be beginner friendly. It is one of those things that I am designing to allow a fairly wide range of abilities. It's more about how to use certain techniques with this kind of yarn, and just some ideas of what to weave. And I will have projects which you can make easier or harder. Okay, so let's weave this thing. I have a lot going on at once on this piece, so you're probably gonna see me make some mistakes, so that'll be fun, right? I started here with a diagonal line in this bottom sort of, I don't know if you call it the street. I was thinking of it as like, the sidewalk in front of an outside door, and it's not straight, and I did that on purpose. So I'm filling that in here. I started this eccentrically, but I'm going to fill this in, and I can see that the next one needs to go to right in here somewhere. That one went there. Okay. And I also have to keep track of where my little interlock is going. So it's going to be fun times. And because I'm doing interlocks, I have to weave line by line. I can't weave up a shape at a time. So that always makes it a little more complicated when you throw an interlock into the mix. I keep forgetting I put this, this is colors called Ocean, and I put it on a bobbin because because it was really long, but I keep picking it up and unrolling it. So I'm doing this interlock, weft interlock, every other sequence. And so I'm skipping it this time, but on the next pick, you'll see me do that. Let's see if I can make that camera stop. Hold on. Sorry about that. I just had to see whether I was getting the right button on the camera lens. Okay. So here, this is that one where I'm alternating every other warp. So that'll go there. And then this is going to be a weft interlock with the yarns going in opposite directions. So I also need one on this side. Is that right? Yep. So before this can come back, it has to lock around this. And then in the next pick, we'll lock on this one. I don't do a lot of interlocks. This is part of the reason, because they're fussy. They're a little bit tough to get even. And so I actually don't mind sewing slits, and I like the really straight look of the sewn slits. But in this case, I wanted this to be just slightly wonky. I didn't want it to be as straight as the sewn slits on the sides of this door. And so that's why I chose to do the interlock. Chosen on purpose. All right. So I can't remember, I think this goes all the way out. Okay. So that can come out. This one is covering this warp now. This is a mix of, so I did a lot of playing before I started this with how to mix the weft bundles, and now of course my camera's not going to focus on this, but I originally was going to do this edge of the door with a redder color in it, and I decided to go with this mix of indigo blue with brown. Just makes it a little bit darker, but playing with the weft bundle mixes is a fun thing to do. Okay, and this is where I have to do this interlock in the other direction. Interlocks, just getting the right amount of weft in the turn and not pulling it too tight on the other side is always tricky. Takes practice. All right. Okay. This one is going to cover this time, and this just goes back. This does not need to lock. Oh, but I do have an element coming in here, which I will talk about. I wanted these little lines in the door. I didn't want it to be just solid turquoise. So I'm going to put in these little extra lines. Ideally, I would have 2 butterflies going in this color to make those lines easier. However, I did not set it up that way, which means I'm going to do a little bit of fudging for those lines. I'm going to make them thinner than this weft bundle. I want them to be solid, but I don't want them to be too thin. So we're going to add in a little line just between 2 sequences. Gasp, right? You can totally do that. All right. Oops. So the other thing about weft bundling too is, do you twist it or not? I talk about that in the first of these discovery boxes courses that I was talking about. Okay. This goes back. Okay, and after that one, I think I'm going to add that line. So that'll add one more complication to the whole design. I will be doing another weaving with a simpler version for this class. Got a little bit carried away with the interlocks on this one. Okay. So before I bring this turquoise back, I'm going to add that line in the middle of the door. Going to use this indigo color. And I think I'm going to try it with 2 strands and see what it looks like. If I don't like it, I might go down to 1 strand. I'm using 3 strands of array at once. I only need 1 sequence, so I need it to go over and back. And 2 pieces. So I put that in the shed. Shift the shed, make sure I get it in the place I want it, which is 1 less than the width of that door. Okay, now let's just see how it looks. I might not be happy with that. Partly because that added weft is going to distort this a little bit. Partly because I think it's going to be too thick. I needed this to do an interlock. This will come back. Let's just see how that looks. It's probably okay. The value difference between the ocean and the deep blue is not, there is a value difference, but it's not huge. So I'm afraid if I make that any thinner, it's not going to show up very well. Hi, Laura, welcome. I'm so glad you got your internet back and that you're okay. I know Hurricane Ian was a mess. Laura's in Florida. Yes, Jessica, I could have woven this sideways. That was something I considered. For the purposes of the class for which I am weaving it, I wanted to weave it this way for a couple different reasons. But this would be a design that would be, you could easily weave it sideways. That would make these lines nice and straight and the sides of the windows, but making these horizontals would be a different issue. This would be okay because I wanted this top of this to be kind of a little jaggedy. So if I wove it this way, that would be something I could do with a little interlock or some other technique. These lines, I would have to figure out a different way to do. And then these little guys would be a little bit trickier woven sideways, as would this vertical. This would become vertical instead of horizontal. So the direction that you weave a piece is important. That will be one of the projects for the box for that class, is to weave something, to talk about why you would weave something sideways versus the other way. Which way would you weave something and why? Okay, so I have all of those filled in. I'm not super happy about the edge of that, but I'm just going to keep weaving for a minute and see what happens. What I'm not happy about is the extra weft I put in there and how it's going to leave. It's going to make the edges of this sink a little bit, but I think the best way to fix that is probably going to be to just add an extra wrap here in a second. I could have added another butterfly of this ocean color to avoid those issues, but This is tiny, and the more you complicate a small weaving with extra wefts versus, you know, just having a float or something, some other solution to fix a shedding issue. I make different decisions when I'm weaving a very large tapestry versus weaving something small, is what I'm saying. Sounds like another class, doesn't it? Hello, Martha from Buffalo. Leslie, I'm not using the James Kohler interlock. Great question. I use an interlock often that I call the James Kohler interlock, and it's the most watched YouTube video on my YouTube channel. Actually, there are two of them. The second video is better, but the first one has more views, so it's probably easier to find. It's an interlock that James used a lot, and it's actually just another form of a weft interlock. So that's an interlock between the two warps. So like here, the interlock is happening between these two warps, not around a warp. So it's a weft interlock. This is not the James Kohler interlock. These butterflies are going in meet and separate, and in the James Kohler interlock, they go on each side of the interlock, they go in the same direction. I could have totally set it up for the James Kohler interlock, so it doesn't really I don't have a real reason why I didn't do it that way, but this is not that interlock. I tend to use that interlock on big pieces when there's a really long vertical. It's easier to get that straight than a sewn slit even on a really big piece. Okay, I need some more of this weft. This this idea came from a adobe wall. I'm from New Mexico, and adobe can be very sort of pink. So these colors have a lot of red in them. So that is where I got the idea to use this as a wall color, as an external wall color. I'm actually going to shift the color a little bit more up here in the corner to something with less pink in it. But let me just get another piece of this. This is a postcard size tapestry, which is kind of fun. Maybe I'll send it as a postcard. It's 4 by 6 inches, I think. We'll see how close I get at the end. I probably normally would have done this as a fringeless for salvage warp, but because I'm using it for a class where we're not teaching that necessarily, I didn't want the main example to be using a technique I'm not teaching, at least in this first box. All right, this one is going to lock next time. I bet I didn't finish this pick. I did not. It has to come over. Both sides of this have teeth to them, but they're different kinds of teeth. Also, this is a lighter value, so you can sort of see that more. Always interesting to see what my experience of stuff is once I start weaving it. This does not need an interlock. I also talk to myself like this all the time when I'm weaving. I hope I'm not the only one who does that. I'm going to remind myself to interlock that next time by putting that over. Aniki asked if anyone else is having a blurry vision. Sorry, Aniki. For me, it looks good. I'm hoping you guys are seeing it okay, but it sounds like it could be an internet or a browser issue. Yeah, Judy says hers isn't blurry. Boy, the internet can be frustrating sometimes, right? My city got fiber optic internet as a city utility last year, and I cannot tell you how much I love that. Not only is it half the price of what I paid before, it is fast, clear, and reliable. And when you do a job like I do, where I'm using the internet 90% of the day, okay, that's not quite true, but a lot. Having good internet is a blessing, a lucky thing that many people in the world do not have. All right. Okay, this is going here. Great, well, what do we think of that little line in the door? It's going to go there. This one now needs to lock around here. And then we'll look at our, not that I want to take this out at this point, but I could. I would if I didn't like it. Okay, so what I'm looking at is this dark line. Do I like that? I think it's okay. It looks better on the computer screen than it does to me in real life, but I think that blue line stands out and it's thinner than the weft bundle I'm using in general, so I think I'm going to leave it, which is also the easiest decision. Oh, thanks, Marla. She says she likes the line. Okay, let's just keep going then. Mirexes. I don't usually do this where I put the waist all the way up against the spring on the Mirex. It's not the greatest idea because as you beat it will tend to push the spring down. I did it because this is the little guy loom, and I don't like when you use the stretcher string, it pulls back the edge. If the piece is wide enough on this loom, it pulls the edge of the piece backwards, and I don't like that. So, another solution would have been to weave in a couple barbecue skewers or really thin pieces of perfectly round something, or even thin cardboard or something, and then start my double half hitches right on top of that. So yeah, I don't think I've maybe ever done this where I put the waist all the way down against the spring, and I don't like it, so I probably won't do it again. But I usually put what I call an ordering cord or a stretcher string on the edge of the Mirex looms, but I'm usually using a bigger loom, and so it doesn't matter. But in this case, I knew it was going to sort of distort the edge of the tapestry, and I don't want that. That one was brown last time, so it'll be that this time. And this is the one where I need an interlock, but not there. Yeah, Laura, let me show you again. I'm doing this little door tapestry where this is like an outside door. It's squatty, it's low and wide. It's sort of inspired by doors in New Mexico or maybe Mexico. And then this is a little window that's shuttered. So that is what I'm weaving. Okay. It looks like I changed the shed twice there. That is so easy to do on a Merrick's or any loom where you have a shedding mechanism like this where you're not using your feet, you're just changing it and leaving it. I see it so much in my online classes where people will get two wefts in the same shed because they changed the shed twice, like I just did a second ago. And it's not a problem. It's just that you have to notice that the shed it's the wrong shed and you have to turn back to the other one. I don't do it as much when I'm using a treadle loom, like my Hairstyle rug loom, or if I have the electric treadle on this loom. Something about, I don't know. On the treadle loom, I'm actually holding the treadles down, so I'm less likely to get the wrong one. And it's really quick if I do to switch to the other one. But on these hand-operated looms, it's easy to change it twice. All right. Let's see. And then this one, I'm doing this interlock every other time across, so it's time to do that one again. And then this will pick up that warp once I change the shed. All right. Cool. Okay, what time is it? Okay, let me go just a couple more sequences. This covers that. Watching my weft tension, you see me fussing with this wider area here. The wider the area I'm covering with one weft, the more I need to pay attention to the weft tension, how much weft I'm putting in there. So that's why you see me fussing with that a lot. I'm just trying to get it as even as possible. Especially on a small piece like this. It'll really show up if I don't get it even. Right. This one needs to do an interlock, so that has to... Is that right? That seems different. No, that's right. Just felt like it was going the other direction before, so sometimes if I didn't quite get it perfectly. No, it doesn't look like I messed it up, so I don't know why my brain is telling me I made a mistake. Sometimes my hands tell me I made a mistake, especially weaving on a big loom. If I'm doing the same thing repetitively, I'll be taking something out before my brain even registers, oh, that was wrong. because my hands knew it wasn't right. I mean, somehow my brain knew too, but I didn't consciously know until I realized that I was pulling it out. That happens quite often, actually. All right. That looks pretty good. So far, so good. I kind of like the little interlocks on the edges of that. It's kind of fun. We'll see what I think about the whole piece once it's finished. But yeah, so far so good. I have to finish that piece this week. So you might check on to Change the Shed and see if I pop a picture of the finished piece in there, because I'll be doing something else next you see me at the end of the month. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry some of you are having internet issues. God, there can be so many reasons for that. But in my online classes, it's often a browser problem. Like restarting your computer is a miracle worker, or making sure that you are using Google Chrome is my first choice for a browser. Those of you who still are hanging on to Internet Explorer, bad news. It's no longer supported by anything, and if that's the browser you're using, that is why you're having problems. Firefox is pretty good, and Microsoft Edge, and what's the other one? Oh, Safari. Those four. Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Microsoft Edge. If you're not using one of those browsers, there are a few new ones out there, and I don't know anything about them, so you could have something cool and updated that I don't know about, but yeah, cool. Happy that you all checked in. Anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, I will be back in 3 weeks on November 30th, end of November. And don't forget about that Fiber Monday sale, November 28th. Watch my newsletter, and I will have a code for that in the newsletter. So if you have been wanting one of my classes, this is my one sale a year when absolutely every, I think that's right. I think every single class will be on sale. I just had to check, except for the ones that aren't currently, live, but awesome. Well, I hope that was fun, and I'll let you know what happens. You'll see this again if you take the class I'm doing with Gist, which is called Tapestry Discovery Box. Thanks, everybody. I'm so glad you came. Please keep weaving. And if you want to use the hashtag, gosh, I probably have it here somewhere. This hashtag, changetheshed, or weave every day is one I use a lot too, but changetheshed is a great hashtag, especially on Instagram. That is the social media platform I use the most. Facebook doesn't much like hashtags, but if you use Instagram, I will probably see it if you use the hashtag changetheshed. Not so happy about all the Twitter changes, so you probably won't see me on Twitter, but Instagram, I'll be there. Okay, cool. Great to see you all. I will keep weaving, and I will have some updates from Taos coming next week and the week after. So if you're interested in pictures of a beautiful place, I will have them on my blog. Have fun, you guys. Keep weaving. See you later. Bye-bye.